Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of CaliTex Angler. On this episode, I'm actually going to be doing a breakdown of the area where I was fishing and give you exact locations of where I hooked up with the fish. As you can see here, I am at Wilson's Cut, which is about halfway between Flower Bluff and Port Aransas on the island. And if you don't know where that is, you can easily Google Maps search it, and it'll give you exact directions to this location. So one of the things that I like about this spot is that it has these two caliche roads which will lead and open up into a flat sandy area where you can park your truck. You can actually back your kayak or back up your truck and unload your kayak right up to the water. The only negative thing that I might say about this is that there is no concrete here. There is no boat ramp. So I've seen people unload their boats here, but I've actually also seen people kind of struggle in getting their boat back onto their trailer. So aside from that, once I launched my kayak, I headed west towards the bay, and I stopped here right under this red arrow. That red line is the left side of the bank of Wilson's Cut itself. It's directly across from the opening to this grass flat here. And the reason I stopped there is because I saw a lot of commotion on the water. There were mullet jumping, and it was a full moon, so I figured that the fish had been feeding all night and weren't going to be feeding so much once the sun came up. So I threw a top water, which was a good idea because there wasn't a lot of grass here. I actually hooked up on my very first cast. It's not something that happens often, but because there was low light, because the fish were actively feeding at that time, I decided to throw that top water, and it worked out great. So check out the footage right here.
A few right here. If it ain't nothing, I'll keep moving. All right, right off the bat. First cast, bro.
I know, I've seen that.
First cast.
That's a nice one.
Dude, did you hear that pop?
Yeah.
Look at that, look at that. Oh, look at him pull drag. All right, let me drop this anchor. Oh, man. Thank the Lord. Look at that, man. You hear that?
Yeah.
Hey, get over here. Drop your anchor and cast right in there. Oh, dude, he came off.
No way.
He came off. Oh, man, I should have tightened that drag. He came off. All right. Well, they're here. That's the first time, bro, that I've ever caught on the first cast.
Dude, that was a beast.
Dude, that was a beast, man.
I'm not even gonna lie, man. It still hurts to watch that, but oh well. You win some, you lose some. Anyway, so I kept heading west towards the bay and ended up turning into this open grass flat. Now, there was a lot of grass here, but even more impressive was the amount of bait fish that there was here. There was everything from little finger mullet to about 12-inch and bigger mullet, and they were just jumping all over the place. My buddy decided to stay here. He said he caught some rat reds, but I wanted to keep drifting because the wind was actually pushing north, so I just let it take me. I put my paddle down and just started casting out my lure along all these potholes, which are there was a lot of mixture between like grass and sand and low areas. So I was casting all along here and wasn't having any luck until I got to the island. And I saw a lot of activity along the banks of this island. So once I got here, I really started focusing on sight casting because I could actually see reds moving. So the red line is actually the way that I was drifting north towards the island. And once I got to where you see the yellow, there's kind of like a little, I don't know, like a creek mouth opening into the island where it leads into kind of like a very shallow lagoon. I'm talking like 6 inches. And once I was in this lagoon area, I could actually see reds busting bait on the surface and just waking through the water. So here's some of the footage of me at this actual location.
There's a redfish in here somewhere. I just saw him right over here. He saw me, he took off.
So as you can see here, the water is crystal clear and only about 6 inches deep. And I wasn't seeing any shrimp, so I decided to take off that shrimp lure and put on this paddle tail. Once I did that, I started moving into that Laguna area as quietly and as slowly as I could. Obviously here I fast forwarded the video, but once I get in there, the first thing I do is I stand up kind of just to look around and listen. I'm listening for splashing, I'm listening for the bait being busted, I'm looking for wakes, or for even, because the water is so clear, I'm just looking to see if I can see that silhouette of a fish in the water. I saw plenty of evidence of fish back here. Here's a giant wake that I caught on video, but no matter what I threw at these fish, they just weren't interested. I'm thinking it was because it was too clear and too shallow. They could see me right away. So I headed out of that yellow area, which I was calling the lagoon, and went through this green area, which was that same creek mouth that I came in through, just heading out to the other side of the island. Once I got to this purple area, that's where I saw the fish that I was going to catch. They were hiding in a deeper area. This was no longer a 6-inch deep area. It got down to about 3 feet deep, and they were hiding in the grass. So I decided to rig up the Alabama leprechaun on a weedless twist lock hook instead of a jig head, because a jig head would have kept getting caught on the grass. Also, what I was using earlier was a paddle tail, and I feel like with the clarity of the water, that extra vibration from that paddle tail was actually a negative, kind of spooking off the fish. This jerk shad moves more like a dying, fluttering bait fish. So being that redfish are opportunistic hunters, they're going to take an easy meal when they can get one. Also, the color of this lure, this dark green, is a lot more natural. On the other hand, it does have a lot of gold flakes, which gold flakes or gold color usually always seems to attract redfish. So once I started throwing this lure, that's when I started catching fish.
Oh, finally. Finally. I turned off the camera thinking that it was on. Oh, come on. One and I'll go home. Oh, finally. Finally. Thank God. Oh, praise and glory to God. Oh, man, it took a minute. It took all day. But I got me one. Oh, thank God. Let's see if we can catch ourselves a limit. One and I'll go home. Whew. All praise and glory to God. Thank God. Man, it is 10:30. It's basically been 4 hours since I got my first bite. I knew they were out here. Settle down, buddy. Oh, he's a fatty. I don't know. Nope. Just undersized, so I gotta keep going. But not a bad fish. All right. All right, buddy. Thanks for the fight. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go.
So overall, I do really like this lure. It's got a really great color, that natural green color with the gold flakes, and it has a very good action. As I would retrieve it, before I would cast it back out there, I would dip it into the water and just twitch the tip of my rod to make sure it still had that flickering motion, that action that looks like a injured bait fish or a dying bait fish that will entice that reaction strike. My negative comment about it, however, is that I don't feel it's very durable. As you can see, I'm putting on a new lure. I think I went through at least 2 or 3 of these lures on this one trip, and that's because each time that I retrieve it, before I cast it back out, I reposition just the tip of the hook into the skin of the back. I just bury just that tip so that the hook is not exposed and catching that grass, which is counterproductive to a weedless hook. I know a lot of people do that with their weedless hooks, but each time that I did that, it tore up the back of the lure a little bit, and ended up creating a really big hole, which wouldn't hold that tip and expose that hook. But at the end of the day, the job of the lure is to catch fish, as you can see here, so I'm decently satisfied with this lure.
All right. Okay. Hopefully this one's a keeper. All right. Come on. If that's the same one, I'm gonna be tripping out. I don't think so. This one looks a lot bigger. Glory be to God. No, I don't know. Watch him be the exact same one. Settle down, buddy. That's a nice fish too. Nope, not the same one. That's my keeper. I'm ready to go. 20 and 3/4. No tag. All right. Ah, yes. On the Alabama Leprechaun. There we go. Same spot too. I gotta cast there again.
So as promised, here are the exact locations of where I hooked up with those fish. This first one is in that yellow circle. That is the left side of the bank as you're going through Wilson's Cut. If you head west from where you launch, you're going to pass that triangular cove on the right-hand side first. Then you're going to see the opening to the grass flat on the right-hand side. And directly across the opening to that grass flat on that left side of the bank, that's where I saw all that commotion on the water. And that's where I hooked up with that first one that got away. Very little grass in that area, but if you keep going west towards the bay, you're going to see that next opening to the next grass flat, and each time that I've gone there in this area, in this green circle, that's where I see a lot of mullet jumping. I'm talking, like I said, from finger mullet to about 12-inch mullet jumping out of the water in this area. And then if you go through that opening to the grass flat and you head north, you're going to get to this island over here. That in that red circle is exactly where I caught those 2 redfish. You can see the lagoon there on the left side of that red circle. I saw fish in there too, but that's not where I hooked up. I actually hooked up in the red circle area. So if I was going to give this spot a numerical grade, I'd give it about a 9 out of 10. It's a really great spot. The only thing was, like I said earlier, that if it rains, the driving area gets a little soft and muddy and a lot of puddles. But if you know how to drive through that area, or if you have 4x4, you should be fine. Other than that, the water's really clean. There's plenty of structure all throughout this area. You got the cut itself, you have points and grass flats, potholes, islands, all sorts of little inlets and creeks and stuff. Definitely plenty of evidence of bait fish all throughout this area, and where there are bait fish, you're bound to find some predatory fish, reds, trout, drum, all sorts of good stuff here. So y'all make sure to take advantage of the comment section below. If you do have any comments, whether they be positive or negative, I'm always up for criticism. If there's anything you didn't understand, if you have questions, I'll be sure to answer anything that I can. If you have been here before, if you haven't been there before, but most importantly, y'all, thank you so very much for checking out this video. Thank you to all my subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed yet, just remember it is 100% free to subscribe. It's just a couple of clicks, and that way if you hit the bell notification, you'll know when I post a new video. Once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll be able to live the American dream, which is to get paid to do what I love to do, and that is fishing and making videos. So thank you to everybody. God bless, tight lines, and I can't wait to see y'all on the next video.